Ciao, y'all. This is Deidre and Lowell here at Italian Cowboy in beautiful Rockport, Fulton, Texas. Today's class is happy pasta, sad pasta. What makes a pasta happy? What makes it sad? So we're going to tell you. So let's get started. And before
This
we
is
do,
sad pasta.
we're going to start by showing you what we mean. This is sad pasta. This is happy pasta. But we're going to tell you a little bit about why. And the idea for this particular class actually came from a lot of the questions that we get in the store about cooking techniques, how to prepare pasta, and how to make it taste really great. And so we thought we would do a class and talk a little bit about it. So let's get started.
So the first thing we're going to do is...
we're going to boil our water.
We already beat you to that one.
We already beat you. So we got some water boiling here, and which kind of the first point is that you need to have adequate water for your pasta. A lot of times people will put just a little bit of water and boil it, and then you add a lot of pasta, and then the pasta doesn't cook through. So one of the things you want to do is make sure that you have an adequate amount of water. So that's a huge step in the right direction to getting happy pasta. The second thing is salting your water, which Lowell has just done. I think you just put some salt in there, right?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
And, I guess salting, it depends there are different viewpoints about, well, how much salt should I use? But the general rule of thumb is that it should essentially taste like seawater. And obviously, salt is one of those things where you can also adjust it to your taste, your preferences, your dietary needs. For example, if you're on a low sodium diet, you might want to back off a little bit. But the reason you salt the water is because that way it seasons the pasta while the pasta is cooking in the water. So it helps
You'll
make
see
it
the
tastier.
ingredients in your pasta don't have salt. It's
Right.
the only way to get salt into your pasta.
Exactly. So this is one of those secrets that really helps you get great tasting pasta. And the other thing that we want to talk about, and this is a big no-no, is don't add oil to your cooking water.
There's no
Do
oil
not
on this table.
add oil.
Don't
Ever.
add oil.
And the reason why is essentially what that does is it coats that pasta, and then it keeps the sauce from sticking to it because it just slides right off of it because it's oily. So I know, we see this recommended that people do this a lot, but if you're wanting to get that great tasting pasta, like, so many people come in and say, I had pasta in Italy, it was so great, why does it taste so much better? Besides the fact that you're, probably sitting there in front of the Colosseum.
Partially it's better in
eating it.
Italy. 'Cause
Partially
you're
it's
in Italy.
the scenery is nice. But these techniques also make a big difference. And so not adding oil is another step in the right direction to getting happy pasta. So then you want to talk a little bit about the cooking water that we've got going here?
Sure.
And why
So
we love it.
Eventually we will have some cooking water when we're done cooking the pasta. That cooking water is magic. You can use it to help emulsify your sauce. In a later class, we'll be talking about pesto. You have to keep that for pesto, but it's a starchy, salty water. Particularly, look, if you're doing a tomato sauce, and in our case, it's a tomato sauce from a jar because this is one class at a time. Tomato sauce not from a jar will be another class. But if you're doing like a pan sauce, that starchy water, often you'll hear of like pasta aglio olio, which is garlic and olive oil. The pasta cooking water is a salty, starchy water that sort of helps bind everything together. So pasta cooking water is also a key to some good sauces. You'll see we don't really need it here for this tomato sauce, but for many, including the pesto class, we'll be doing it at a later time. Cacio e pepe.
That's a classic recipe. Many of you have heard about it. And the secret is you got to save that cooking water because it gets those nice starch molecules in it, and so it's really a great helpful hint and a secret that all Italian grandmas know.
Exactly.
Right. So and then the next question that we get a lot is, well, wow, what pasta do I use with what sauce? Selecting your pasta. So we're going to talk a lot more about how to pair pasta shapes with pasta sauces in a later class. But
this is just happy pasta.
But this is just how to make it happy and sad. But for this class, we've we're doing a penne. But you could certainly do, bucatini, spaghetti, linguine, whatever you prefer. We'll talk about that. In another session. So the next thing we're going to do is drop the pasta.
Let's make some pasta.
All right, let's make some pasta.
So, neat.
We got a little.
So,
Yep.
as you know, all pastas will tell you how long they cook. This one's 10 to 12 minutes, so we're going to drop it. I've got my handy phone timer over here. Obviously, we had the water up to a rolling boil, and so it is now boiling away, and we will boil it for, in this case, and here's secret number 3, about a minute or two less than it calls for. And we'll tell you why in a little.
Yes.
But the secret to happy pasta, sad pasta is in part not finishing cooking the pasta in the water.
Critical step. So, and when we talk a little bit about dressing pasta, Lowell's saying we're going to use just a traditional red sauce because it's what folks are the most used to, and very popular, and particularly in certain areas in Italy. But there are many different ways you can dress pasta. One of our favorites is just to put some olive oil on it, and some pecorino romano, some grana padano, of course Parmigiano Reggiano, whatever you like. But you don't certainly have to use a red sauce. Cacio e pepe, for example, doesn't. Yeah. Another great way we actually like to eat pasta is with pesto, and we're going to talk about pesto in another class, but in the different kinds of pesto. But that's another great way to dress pasta. If you're not a fan of red sauce, that's a great option. And then, like Will said, today we're going to go with a traditional red sauce, and demonstrate that happy pasta with that. Since it's what most folks use. So
as much as we know that y'all like watching water boil, we're going to take a break while we get to the 10-minute mark here on this pasta. Like I said, it's 10 to 12-minute pasta. We like this particular pasta. Our experience is we like it done at about 12 minutes. So we're actually going to pull it at 10, and we will be back when we get close to the 10-minute mark.
Hey everyone, we are back. Our pasta is almost done. During the break, we of course poured a little bit of wine to pair with our pasta because why not? It's a beautiful day. We should have some delicious wine with our pasta. And Lowell is getting ready here to pull the penne and talk about how to marry pasta and sauce, which again is so critical to making your sauce taste, making your pasta taste the most flavorful that it can be.
Yep. And so, like we said, the secret here, really, in addition to the things that we talked about before to make happy pasta, sad pasta, the most important thing is marrying the pasta and the sauce. Obviously, here you have pasta and sauce. Here you have a pasta dish, right? The same way that you wouldn't make a salad, a green salad, and dump the dressing on top and not stir it. The same. You don't want to make your pasta the same way. So, two things. First of all, the Italians definitely believe in not over-dressing their pasta. So you want to be able to taste the pasta. It's not all about the sauce. So you'll see we have a small amount of sauce here. And then what we're going to do is, as we said, pull it about a minute or two early and let the two cook together. What ends up happening is the pasta's still thirsty, so it's going to pull in some of the sauce, but the pasta is also going to exude some starch into the sauce, and it's going, did I say starch twice? Exude starch into the sauce, and therefore help to thicken the sauce. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win for both of them. And so what we've got here is we're coming up on our, there we are, so our 10 minutes. So we're going to pull this and drop it into our pan. And Deidre, if I don't have enough sauce, is going to help me by giving me a little more sauce, but I'd rather under-sauce it than over-sauce it.
Always easier to add more than be able to take it away.
Exactly.
So Lowell's going to pull the penne, and again, we're using the penne rigate for this particular dish, but of course feel free to use whatever you like. We like the little ridges in this in the penne rigate, so that's why we chose it.
Yeah. And for those of you that have to do dishes at home, you don't need two pans. We're doing two pans right now because we're on TV and I have no sink. And so I can't actually dump this water out.
Right.
What I often usually do is just drop this into a strainer and then put it back in the pan. That way you aren't dirtying the extra pan. Here we've sort of modified it by using the spider to pull it out and having a second pan.
But for the purposes of video and
And no sink.
Yeah, no sink.
Yeah.
It's a little more awkward to do it that way. So this is the way we're going to do it for the purposes of the class. But it's looking really good.
And you can see,
actually, you've got a good ratio.
Yeah, you see, it's already
Mm-hmm.
looking pretty good. It's already starting to be much more happy than sad.
It is.
So we're just going to cook this for another like 30 seconds while it finishes up, because as we said, we like this at about 12 minutes, so we pulled it at about 10. So it's getting close to done. In the meantime, we will tell you that the wine that we have poured is a fabulous Rosso di Montalcino from Montalcino, which is in Tuscany. It's a Sangiovese-based wine. Chachi Piccolomini makes amazing wines of great Brunellos. This is a Rosso di Montalcino. It's going to be a little lighter. The Brunello would probably be a little heavy for this. And so it's just going to pair well with the nice acidity in the tomatoes. But you could use another Sangiovese-based wine. You could use another, you could use like a Barbera Primitivo, but the...
a Chianti, of course.
A Chianti, of course. We love the Rosso di Montalcino.
Yeah, it's just a lovely red, especially for a little bit the warmer weather that in the spring and summer months. It's a really nice red. So if you're not familiar, definitely check this out. It's a great wine. So I think we're good to go. And what's so by pulling, what's important to know is by pulling the pasta before it was done and then marrying it together in the pan, you're still getting that nice al dente pasta. You definitely want to still keep the pasta al dente. You don't want to overcook it and have mushy pasta, because then your pasta would be...
Then you're back to sad.
You're back to sad pasta.
Exactly.
And that's not what we want. And the point of this, again, like Lowell said, this is just two components put together, whereas this is a dish. And so it definitely flavors the pasta, and I think it elevates it elevates the pasta.
Yeah. And once we take a picture of this to show you what not to do, it's going back in the pan.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
don't worry
so
about the pasta. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be happy
also,
again.
similarly, Mom, don't worry about me. I apologize for my
hair.
Not Rhoda's fault. She raised me well. This is all me.
Hi, Rhoda. Yeah, I know.
In the meantime, we hope that y'all make happy pasta at home.
Yes.
No
Cheers.
pasta should be sad.
Chin chin.
Chin chin. Oh yeah.
Good.
We'll talk about that in the class in a minute.